10864. Station's your final time cue will be with 15 seconds until airtime. Mark, 15 seconds until airtime.
The following is a presentation of Learfield. Welcome to Duck Insider.
Our whole athletic department, there's a level of expectations of success.
Throw, catch, touchdown, Oregon.
He can run and slam.
This is back out for a three. Left wing is good.
In the air to center, back at the wall. It's out of here.
Really excited that we get to rep our Ducks and hopefully come back to Eugene with some championships.
Indoor track and field national champion.
Oregon repeats as the Pac-12 champion.
And for the fourth time in the last 6 years, the Ducks are Pac-12 champions.
We have so many teams that are excelling right now, and it's really fun to be a part of.
This is Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Better banking, local solutions. Live from the Country Financial Studio, here's Joey Mack.
Good to be back for week 2 of Duck Insider. Hey, man, football is officially rolling. The Ducks were in shells for the first time today at fall camp. And, man, that's when you know it's getting real. When you start to really hear the sound of football, you know, that's when you know that fall camp is really ramping up. So the Ducks were in shells for the first time today. Quack Minute, always on the Oregon football social media channels. Our goal is to always have that Quack Minute done right after practice, so we get it to you as quick as possible, just what we observed a little bit at practice today. No media interviews today, so no new interviews with Oregon football, but we did get the chance to catch up with offensive coordinator Joe Moorhead and defensive coordinator Tim DeRuyter on Saturday. Ducks took yesterday off before beginning what is technically the second week of fall camp, but it's the first full week of fall camp here this week, and Oregon is scheduled to be in full pads on Thursday. That'll be the first time that the Ducks are in full pads as they continue their ramp-up process. It'll be shells tomorrow as well for the Ducks. Some good things to tell you about before we hear those interviews. How about Carson Battles? Really, I think to be a long snapper, you want to just be the epitome of consistent, and that's what Carson Battles is. He has been named to the Patrick Manley Award preseason watch list. That honors the best senior FBS long snapper, and we got the chance to catch up with Carson Battles last week. If you missed it, subscribe to the Oregon Sports Network podcast, or you can go back and, you can watch the show on YouTube on the Go Ducks Facebook if you want to watch Jerry Allen's interview, getting to know Carson Battles. He really is the epitome of consistency. So congratulations to Carson being named to that watch list here today. Joe Moorhead, Tim DeRuyter coming up. The Olympics, a couple things from this past weekend as the Olympics are now closed. It's wild. Team USA, though, cleaning it up in the medal, particularly on the medal count, particularly on the women's side. Just dominant performance from Team USA again. And in track and field, you saw a lot of that. Cole Hawker, he finished 6th in the 1,500 final. Congratulations to Cole Hawker, man. That's impressive for a guy who is still a collegiate runner, is 20 years old, and he's finishing 6th in the biggest stage already. It's just awesome to see that from Cole Hawker. We always say that we can't get into too many details about recruiting on the show. That's one of the things that comes with being connected to the University of Oregon. Until that national letter of intent comes in, we can't talk about them, but all I'm going to say is men's basketball recruiting seems to be going pretty well, huh? Way to go. Yeah, good stuff from the men's basketball front. Just head over to the social media of your choice if you need to take a look at what I am looking at. Your product schedule, NBA Summer League is in action. Also a conversation with Oregon soccer head coach Graeme Abel. That is all on the show today. A lot of focus on the quarterbacks. We know that. There's always going to be a lot of focus on the quarterbacks, but particularly when you've got a 5-star in Ty Thompson, you've got a guy who consistently draws praise from all of his teammates and coaches in Jay Butterfield. You've got a guy with the athleticism and the multi-sport prowess like Robbie Ashford, and a guy with the experience like Anthony Brown. All of that leads to a pretty doggone good quarterback battle. Well, Joe Moorhead, of course, was asked about that and was asked about a number of different things when he met with the media on Saturday, as we continue to hear from Oregon football as they ramp up toward their opener here coming up in less than a month. Less than a month. Let's hear from offensive coordinator Joe Moorhead to kick things off today.
A lot more depth at running back right now than you did in the spring. Just what have you seen just in these early couple days of the three, I'll call them freshmen, but obviously Trevor's come back for second year. But.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of talent in the room. Those young guys are working hard, trying to get them to learn the system, and cut it loose and play fast. But as you mentioned, a lot of old guys with experience who've played well in big games, and then certainly a lot of young guys with talent that we got to get caught up to speed and give those guys an opportunity.
It's always the adage that the running backs could play early in terms of their career. That's not necessarily a developmental position like an offensive lineman is. Do you see these guys, and Byron and Seven in particular, as guys who, if in the event that you had to go that route early on, that they would be capable?
Yeah, they certainly have the talent. We've got to give them some experience and reps in camp. And I think if they're provided the opportunity, based on how the season unfolds, I have the utmost confidence in those young guys.
Where have you seen the largest progressions from the three young quarterbacks?
The three young quarterbacks? Yeah, I think all three had a solid spring, and I think it'll be the continued understanding of the offensive system. Taking the information from the meeting room to the field, and then just a high level of execution, right? Moving the football, creating explosive plays, and limiting turnovers. So I think, to answer your question, I think the understanding of our offense, I'd see that's the biggest area of growth for those guys.
How much catching up did Robbie do during those 2 weeks when he was full on football there for you in the spring?
Yeah, we very rarely miss Robbie. During the time where he was doing both, he did a great job. For the time that he missed coming in on his own and making those things up. So, that was something where, obviously it's, difficult to be a, two-sport athlete at a school like Oregon and do both successfully. But, there was a good schedule set up, and, he worked on his own very well.
How thick was last year's playbook in a condensed, very few practice situation compared to now where you have the time with the guys?
Yeah, we was certainly a truncated spring ball. We had four practice opportunities, and weren't sure we were going to play the season. The rest of the country was playing, and we were sitting here kind of doing walkthroughs and doing Zoom meetings and things like that. Then all of a sudden, October 7th, we're going to play the season. So certainly, we weren't able to do everything from a systematic standpoint last year that this offense has done through the years. But now with a full spring ball, a full summer, full fall camp, I think we'll be able to take those positive steps forward with a more say elaborate. That's not a word. A more comprehensive application of the offense.
How big is Anthony just for the younger guys in that quarterback room, knowing he's a veteran guy, been there around the block a little bit?
Yeah, he's played a lot of football at a very high level. Guys thrown for almost 6,000 yards and 60 touchdowns, and been in a bunch of different offenses. And he's a super smart kid. He's got a great presence about him, very mature. And I think, he always takes the opportunity to share some of that wisdom with the young guys, and they're also very receptive to his teaching as well.
Whether it be in the meeting room or in these first couple days on the field for him, I know in the offseason he and Robbie met with Quincy. They went down there. He went down to Manning. What have you seen that he gained from the summer that he had?
I think it's a refinement. I don't think it's necessarily anything new, but some quarterback coaches they don't want their guys to work with other guys. I think guys like Quincy and other guys throughout the country. Anytime you have an opportunity to work extra on your craft like you did with Quincy and down at Manning, I think that can only make the quarterbacks better. So I think it was more of a refinement and improvement of his skill than any wholesale changes.
You used Tyler and Anthony last year. Could you foresee a scenario where you use multiple quarterbacks on a regular basis this season?
You mean like?
Different packages?
Yeah, in the past, I think the ultimate decision on that is a program decision. But speaking personally, and I think, you want to have a starter, right? And then you want to have a 2 and a 3 behind them that are capable and ready if their number's called upon. In years past at different schools, we've had two QB packages with guys in the game at the same time. But to me, you want a starter. You want to go with that guy, and then have 2, 3, and 4 ready if their number's called upon.
Do you want a clear cut 2, 3, and 4 too, or can that fluctuate up and down during the season?
Coach fosters an atmosphere of competition here, and I think that makes everybody better. So at a certain point, you're going to have to name a 1, a 2, a 3, and a 4, just for practice and rep purposes. But to the standpoint that that's always going to be static and be the same throughout the whole season. You know, we're always competing, and guys have opportunities. You don't have to like the spot you're in, but you have to work to change it.
With one less scrimmage in the fall, Joe, does that make the first scrimmage that much almost more important from an evaluation standpoint if you're going to try and draw demarcation lines and roles and reps?
Relative to overall or just the QBs?
The QBs.
Yeah, I mean, all those guys are getting a ton of reps every practice, and then certainly, the 2 Saturday opportunities, shine a brighter light on the evaluation process. So, just like spring, I think those scrimmages will play a big role.
Coach, although some positions like receiver, offensive line, you've got some real up-and-comers.
Yeah.
And yet because of the seniors who came back, there's a lot of returning veterans too. Does it feel like a more complicated fall, because of the COVID year and the eligibility situation? A lot more. Does it feel like there's a lot more to sort through personnel-wise?
There's more to sort through, yes, and I think that's a good thing. When you look across the board, this is only my second year, but Coach Cristobal's obviously recruited at a very high level. So when you have not just depth, but quality depth across the board, it forces everyone to compete, and it allows us to make some difficult decisions. But I would much rather be in a situation where you have to choose between a bunch of good guys where, the opposite, where you're, you have a bunch of good guys at the ones, and then it's a fall off from there. So I think this is the choices we have to make with the significant amount of depth is a good problem.
Coach, so although the college and pro often use a spread, they also go under center a lot.
Yep.
The Ducks haven't gone under center maybe a handful of times in the last 10 years.
Yep.
Why is that? Can we look forward to a change without giving anything away?
Who knows? We'll work some gun, work some pistol, maybe some pro style under center, maybe wing T. Home Depot, maybe about to be on. Not sure it'll be time. So we'll see. We'll see how it unfolds.
Mario was saying yesterday that Dante and Troy, from being in the spring, kind of look like veterans out there. I guess, where have you seen progress with those two?
No, I think it's incredibly valuable when any incoming freshman can enroll mid-year because of the 15 opportunities they get in the spring. So it's almost like you're looking at those guys as not a second-year player, but like a 1.5-year player. But that exposure to this level of football in spring and then carrying it, through summer and into the fall, it's like those guys, and just using the other, like Isaiah, they're on different levels right now just because, keep moving my elbows around, because they've been here longer and have had more reps.
Not many encourage that, though. Do you encourage guys enrolling early? Is that something, not that you require them to, but is that something you want them to do?
I think that's an individual decision for the kid and their family. I think personally, from a quarterback perspective, if it's not something where you want to graduate your class, go through all the things second semester, go to prom, all those things. But if it's something that a kid wants, I would never make someone do it, and I don't think you can. But I think for the quarterback position, those reps are invaluable if it's something that the family wants to do.
Not many tight ends.
You have at tight end.
Sure.
The option. What do you think of the options you have at tight end, and just kind of the growth that you've seen from that group?
They're multiple. And it's like we're talking to everyone else, it's a deep position. Coach Williams does a great job developing them, and they all have a little bit of a different style. And then, like you talked about with the receiver, Mo and Terrence came in mid-year, got a bunch of good reps. So everyone's fighting for opportunities at that position.
Have you had a tight end room as both vast and also, other than DJ, who's obviously not here right now, where you didn't have a chance to work with any of them on the field last year? I mean, Spencer for a handful of plays, but I mean, realistically.
What was the first part of the question?
Have you ever had a tight end room as vast in depth? You're 6 deep, but on the other hand, you don't have game experience to lean on, or very limited game experience to lean on to evaluate.
No, I don't think so. I mean, thinking back, we've always had guys that have, where you're, outside of DJ and Spence, some of those other guys have not had a significant role, but you'd rather sacrifice the talent, for the experience, if that makes sense.
What have you liked about Oregon so far in the time you're here?
Like what specifically?
What Eugene in specific?
Eugene?
Mm-hmm.
The state overall. I mean, I think there's a bunch of cool scenic things to do. Crater Lake, a bunch of the fall hikes. Taking the RV out to a bunch of different places. My oldest son went to Marist. He's graduated. My youngest one goes to O'Hara. A bunch of good food here, a bunch of good people. It's a good time.
I'll never forget when Joe Moorhead was telling us the story about driving out here in his RV. He talked to Jerry Allen about that, and I just remember, like, man, that must have been a kind of a cool ride for Coach Moorhead. That was Joe Moorhead from Saturday as he met with the media. We're going to go to the defensive side, hear from Tim DeRuyter in just a moment. Your Cafe Yum 2-minute drill. We got a lot of things to cover, actually. And, hey, again, we can't talk specifics of recruiting, but just men's basketball recruiting is going real well right now, huh? That's pretty cool. Quick timeout. We're in the Country Financial Studio. More Duck Insider coming up after this on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Dear Exit Strategy. No matter which Toyota you choose, there's an exit from the ordinary to match. See you soon, Toyota. Visit your local Toyota dealer or Toyota.com today. Toyota. Let's go places.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union. Join in. OnPointCU.com. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Dear Exit Strategy. No matter which Toyota you choose, there's an exit from the ordinary to match. See you soon, Toyota. Visit your local Toyota dealer or Toyota.com today. Toyota. Let's go places.
Your daily dose of Oregon athletics. This is Duck Insider from Learfield.
Okay, man, this is your time. Maybe you didn't choose this, but you're here now. You're gonna go out there and be an all-star caregiver. Cook, clean, be there emotionally and physically. You gotta dig deeper. Drive them to physical therapy, doctor's appointments, because that's what caregivers do. Don't give up. Show the world that you're tougher than tough.
Caregiving is tougher than tough. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
To some, the sound of a baby babbling doesn't mean much, but that's not true. They're testing out vowels and consonants and trying different sounds. And by 12 months, their babbling is beginning to take on meaning, especially if there's no babbling at all. Little to no babbling by 12 months or later is just one of the possible signs of autism in children. Learn more at autismspeaks.org. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
Back on Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Joey Mack here in the Country Financial Studio. Oregon soccer head coach Graeme Abel going to join us coming up in just a little while. The official kickoff to the Oregon athletic season is on Friday. Corban will be in town for an exhibition against the Oregon women's soccer team. Really looking forward to getting back to Pape Field and getting back to a little bit of normalcy. You know, the soccer schedule this past year was obviously truncated, and it was in the spring. And, man, it was tough. Like, I think there was only one soccer game that was going on when I didn't have a baseball commitment. So I'm excited for Friday just to be able to go enjoy a sporting event again, man. I mean, it's those sorts of things that you get excited about these days, right? And I'm all for it. Graeme Abel, though, great conversation with him coming up. He's going to join us. Long walk. His office is right across from the studio. Tim DeRuyter talked a little bit of defense for the Ducks. And, you know, look, you can tell that both Tim DeRuyter and Joe Moorhead have been head coaches just with the way they talk to the media. Coach Moorhead just so calm, cool, collected all the time. And Coach DeRuyter, I mean, he went full-on head coach opening statement when he walked up to the media on Saturday.
All right, day 2 of camp. Great seeing the energy from our guys. I think we got a lot of buy-in. We got some young guys with some talent, you know, creating competition. And tell you what, going against Coach Moorhead's offense and the skill we have on offense really helps prepare ourselves. So with that, what do you guys got?
In the spring game, Tim, you got to see Dante Manning and Bennett Williams quite a bit with the ones. You're doing it again now. Mm-hmm. And how do you evaluate them and the roles that they've had lately, and also for Jalen and Jeffrey, who were early enrollees, worked with the twos, still getting to do so? What have you just seen from that 4 guys?
Yeah, those 4 guys in the first 2 days have really done a nice job. They've you know, had opportunities to make some plays, and they've made them. It's fun to see Dante really jump in, get more reps so that you can see the explosiveness out of his cuts. Jeff Bossa had a chance to have his hands on a ball yesterday. Bennett Williams really understands and starting to play fast now. I think he's starting to play with more confidence. Jalen's, he's starting to figure it out a little bit more. When we first come in as a freshman, it all comes at you fast, but all those guys got to step up for us, because in football, you never know who's got to be called up.
Coach, you have a lot of really athletic guys on this defense. Coach Cristobal talked about the value of versatility. With you being a DC, how do you kind of approach that, or value that in your defense?
Well, it starts with guys that can run. When we talk to our guys, we want to match up personnel-wise with our opponent. And when you have guys that can run, you can job swap. We can have outside linebackers that drop into coverage or pressure. We have defensive linemen that can drop into coverage. We got safeties who can blitz. All that job swapping stuff can make it difficult on an offense. And what you got to do is make it simple enough where our guys are playing fast. Because as a defense coordinator, you can also give them so much that they slow down because they're thinking. And obviously, we don't want to get to that point. And I think that our guys right now are a pretty comfortable position. At least our starters in our twos, the guys that were here in the spring, they're moving around pretty fast. Now, they're nowhere close to being near efficient as what we need to be, but I like the speed that we're playing with right now.
Coach, when you're preparing for an offense, how much easier, or is it easier to prepare for a team that exclusively runs a spread versus one who runs a spread and has a quarterback under center in different formations?
Well, I think anytime you can go good against good and see as many multiple things, it helps you as a defense, so that you don't have to card things with guys that don't do it naturally. We're seeing everything from our offense right now. Yes, we're a spread team, but we're seeing a significant amount of 12 personnel, downhill runs, play action passes. About the only thing we're not seeing is double slot, triple option like you may see at a service academy, but we're getting triple option out of his RPO games and some of the running quarterback plays.
The program has obviously recruited very well at inside linebacker with Justin Flo and a list of other guys. How do you see that kind of battle with Isaac leaving?
Well, I think, that Ken Wilson's been phenomenal in developing his room, recruiting to his room, and we've got a bunch of guys in there competing. So, game of football, it's always next man up. You never know when it's going to happen, so we got to continue to develop guys so that when we do have an injury or someone's out for whatever reason, the next guy's got to be able to play. And I like our depth there. It creates competition. And then, like I said, getting a chance to compete against our offense really pushes and stresses our guys. So we'll see right away whether they can do it or not.
Going along those lines, Justin Flo, you saw what he could do in the spring. Has he made a leap even more so this fall from what you've seen so far?
Well, I think he's playing with more confidence. During the spring, he only went maybe the last 5 or 6 practices because we had a regulator on him because of the injury. And so you've seen him at times in our practice already, and we're just in helmets right now. The explosiveness that he exudes, the fact that he can really break on balls, and when he gets there, ear pads and balls tend to splatter and go in different directions. It's fun to watch him and Noah because they both have that explosive ability.
Speaking of Noah, he's been pretty noticeably vocal. I know you can't speak to last year, but as a staff, has there been a request to him to try to assert himself as a vocal leader, or is that just natural maturity?
I think it's part of just growing up and maturing. You come in here as a true freshman, there's a lot of talent around here. You kind of have to find your niche, and I think at the inside linebacker position, it's natural for that guy to assume that position. And I think as he makes more plays, guys look to him as being the leader. So, the one thing we've challenged him to do is to play hard, and he does that all the time. So he sets a standard for himself that is a pretty high standard for everybody else to try to reach.
How similar are the responsibilities for the outside position Kayvon's play compared to Mace?
We have those guys where they can be interchangeable. Again, we talk to these guys all the time about job swapping. While they have different skill sets, I think, when we go in our 4-down stuff and they're edge rushing, both of them do a really nice job in the run game. It's hard to compare anybody in the country to Kayvon as far as a speed rusher. But both those guys could line up on either side, and we'll do that some. We'll match them up against, the matchups we want. When we get into our odd stuff, we can have either one of them playing to the field and being more of a Sam backer, and the other one being, our joker, where he may be in the rush, maybe in the drop. Both those guys will be kind of interchangeable as we go through camp, so that, and not just those two guys, all of our outside backers. So we find out who are our best edge guys and when we have to get a next man up situation, we can get the next best guy on the field.
Now that you've been around KT for a while, what's the next step for his evolution of his game? Like, what are you trying to push him towards?
Well, I think there's always little things that he can get better at. His hand placement on run blocks, getting to where he's getting off up the field all the time and not trying to diagnose plays. And then once he gets, engaged, we got to get him separating and using his hands a little bit better. And the thing I love about KT, he's always looking, hey, how can I get that next edge? How can I get better? Really intelligent ball player who's never satisfied.
He did a lot of individual work this offseason in terms of working with Chuck, doing some online stuff with Vaughn. Had you had guys previously work with Chuck? I mean, he's worked with a renowned list, but have you personally had guys work with Chuck?
I personally have not, but I know the work that he's done, the guys he's worked with, all those things, again, it really speaks well to KT. There's all these accolades thrown at him. Some guys, it's like, taking poison and, they just drink it up. KT's like, that just drives him to get even better. And how can I get better? What resources are out there to get me better?
Looking at the secondary, he mentioned the importance of if he was coaching against himself, he'd double him every time because he was confident in the other guys. What are your thoughts on just the other group of guys that are going to maybe have those opportunities with the attention that he's going to grab?
Well, the great thing about camp and with what we do with our offensive line is we're going to go every single day, probably as good a competition as we're going to see on Saturdays or better most Saturdays. So we'll get a chance to develop our other guys, see what they can do. And I'm really looking forward to this camp because we've got a bunch of older guys coming back. We've got some young guys that are fresh legs and doing some exciting things. So we will have a plan. If teams want to double KT, we'll do a couple things. We'll try to put them in some formations where they won't be able to do that. And then if they're determined to do that, we'll have guys on the other side that'll win their one-on-ones.
Are the days with him putting his hand in the dirt, is that done? Is he standing for good?
No, we're gonna mix it up. When we get into pass rush situations, I think he likes rushing from a 2-point, but if he wants to rush from a 3-point, we'll let him do that too.
What have you
looking
seen?
At the secondary, I think one of the players that is interesting to look at is Triquez Bridges. I believe he came in as a safety, and he was a longer defensive back. What have you seen from him as he looks to take that next step in his development at corner?
Yeah, I thought he did a really nice job in the springtime. He is a longer type body. We don't have a lot of those at the corner position. So when teams want to match up with a 6'3", 6'5" receiver, he's a guy that can match up physically. So you like that. I thought his confidence and his ability to close really improved in the spring. Now we're only 2 days in, but I like where he's at mentally, and I expect him to keep making strides because, again, you look at the 4- and 5-star kids he's got to compete against every day. He's either going to push and get better or drown. He's that kid that gets thrown in the deep end every day, and I love it because it's pushing him to be a better player.
What have you seen from the guys behind Popo at that nose to eye kind of rotation? Even go back to the spring because they're all here, but whether it be Suava, Jason, Christian, Keanu, just what have you seen from that group of guys?
Well, we got to compete every day. A couple guys that stood out, I thought, with Jason at the end of spring started to come on. I mean, he's got a big body, and he's the guy that we want to hopefully continue his maturation and be able to take some reps off Popo. But Suava has really made strides too. He's done a nice job of transforming his body, getting a little thicker. Still is a really explosive player. In the last couple of days in pass rush has really shown up.
Oh, that was great talking with Coach DeRuyter. Again, he just sounds like a head coach. You can tell that he's been a head coach, right? Joe Moorhead and Tim DeRuyter, offensive and defensive coordinators. Brought to you by the Willamette Valley Cancer Institute and Research Center. Fight like a duck with cancer care you can count on. One thing that sticks out to me, and Rob Mosley and I were talking about this in the Quack Minute today, Popo has really, I think, taken a big step forward. And some of that is just, he was playing with a guy like Jordan Scott, right? I mean, you kind of wait your turn in some ways when you move up the depth chart. But I'll say this about Popo, man. That guy makes plays in a lot of different ways. That's what stuck out to Rob today. He pointed this out in the Quack Minute that, one time when he was doing a one-on-one drill today, he was using speed to get by a guy. One time he just bull rushed a guy. I mean, those are the sorts of guys that you love having around, and that's what Popo kind of brings to the table. Coming up tomorrow, we're going to talk with the defensive side of the football. Brandon Dorless, Keon Ware-Hudson, a couple guys that I'm planning to talk to tomorrow, and a few guys in the secondary as well. We'll have those interviews for you on tomorrow's edition of Duck Insider when the Ducks get off the practice field tomorrow morning. When we come back, Men's basketball recruiting's doing pretty good, huh? Yeah, it's pretty great. More coming up from the Country Financial Studio on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
After 2 years of construction, my wife and I finally moved into our dream home. So when a bathtub fixture broke, causing major water damage, I was glad we had the home insurance protection we needed. How do you know your home is protected? Talk to a Country Financial rep like me, Nick Simon. We can help you understand your options and select coverages to meet your needs. Then if something happens to your home, you won't have any surprises. Need the right coverage for your home but not sure where to start? Visit TakeSimpleSteps.com or contact a local Country representative.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union. Join in. OnPointCU.com. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
You're listening to Duck Insider. Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
It's 4 a.m., Monday, and you're literally sucking baby snot through a tube because she's congested. Man, that's love. And if you love her that much, love her enough to make sure she's buckled in the right car seat. To make sure your child's in the right seat for their age and size, visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Show them you love them. Keep them safe. Visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
America, your children have an amazing superpower. They can help save lives by not having play dates. That's right. By replacing get-togethers with virtual play dates and video chats, they can help slow the evil spread of germs. And if your superheroes do go outside, make sure they continue their superhero wing by staying 6 feet away from others to protect everyone in America land. Find out more at coronavirus.gov. A message from the CDC and the Ad Council.
Back on Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. We're inside the Country Financial Studio. Graeme Abel, Oregon soccer head coach, will join us. Oregon wrapped up its first practice in Shells today as Oregon continues to ramp up. They'll be outside on the practice fields again tomorrow morning. Looking forward to some post-practice interviews. Also with Coach Cristobal. We'll have that for you tomorrow. Hey, how about your Cafe Yum 2-minute drill? Catching you up on a few other things around Oregon athletics. I mentioned Cole Hawker. Just again, congratulations to Cole Hawker. What a performance in the 1500. Really, especially I think because it's cool to look back on his time at Oregon and how he kind of ramped up toward the Olympics, including his time in competition here at Oregon. You know, we've seen a lot of quotes from guys like Devin Allen and competitors like Raven Rogers and, you know, some of the best we've ever seen, like now maybe Cole Hawker, right? It's cool that it's just kind of the norm that you go to Oregon and you're thinking about the Olympics at the same time. You know, that's pretty special. Congratulations to Cole Hawker for his 6th place finish. Men's basketball recruiting again, it's been going well, and the Ducks are continuing now to ramp up toward their season, which will get underway in just a little while, actually. If you're thinking about it, it's August. We're going to have some practices in October, and before you know it, it's time. It's time. Also, good luck to sophomore Yuki Moriyama and incoming freshman Jose Cristobal Islas in the 121st U.S. Amateur. Stroke play going on today, continuing tomorrow. Good luck to a couple Ducks from Casey Martin's squad there. Your entire Pro Ducks guide is now available on GoDucks.com, and one thing I wanted to highlight for you today. So Peyton Pritchard playing for the Celtics. He's on their Summer League team. I flip on the game yesterday, and I'm not kidding you. Right as I turn it on, Peyton Pritchard, defense sags off on him, and he pulls up from about 3 feet, 4 feet, maybe even 5 feet from behind the three-point line and just drains it. That happens right as I turn on the TV, and I go, yeah, we've seen that before, haven't we? He sure does look good in a green color, doesn't he? A little different green in Boston, but it's at least nice that he still is in that green color. We'll talk a little bit more about that Pro Ducks guide coming up in just a moment. But 11 Ducks in action as part of the NBA Summer League. Man, it is an amazing list of individuals like Bol, Chris Duarte now with the Pacers, Joe Young getting a workout with the Wizards, Anthony Mathis playing with the Spurs, guys like Luke King, Peyton Pritchard, and, you know, so many others, particularly LJ Figueroa, Eugene Omarui, that have been added to that list now. Really, really cool stuff. We're going to talk a little bit more about that coming up because, well, it's kind of feeling like it's just a good day to talk about basketball. 2-Minute Drill brought to you by Cafe Yum Restaurants throughout Oregon and Washington, serving Northwest-inspired catering and takeout for your next gathering or meeting. Menus are always available at cafeyum.com. The Oregon Athletics entire season for the 2021-2022 athletics calendar kicks off on Friday. Graeme Abel's here to talk about it. Oregon soccer head coach will join us right after this in the Country Financial Studio on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
As my family continued to grow, I realized I'd have to replace my beloved Jeep with something that has, well, more seats. I'm Jason Hines, Country Financial Rep and father of 7. Whether you're upgrading from your sporty ride with no room for a car seat or finally replacing your well-loved beater that still has a cassette player, you'll want the right protection for your new car. Work with a Country Financial Rep like me and get the protection you need at a price you can afford. Learn more at TakeSimpleSteps.com or contact a local Country representative.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union. Join in. OnPointCU.com. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
This is Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
When might you be buzzed? When you suddenly love everything.
You guys, I love this song. I love these nachos. I love our kickball league. Ugh! I love this guy. What's your name? You know what I'd love? A ride when it's time to head out.
If you see a buzzed warning sign, call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
I love your car. Is this real leather?
Hey, so what's a great way to spread awareness that driving high is illegal everywhere? A catchy song, of course.
You can run, but you can't drive high. You can run, but you can't drive high.
Friendly reminder, don't drive high. If you feel different, you drive different. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Back in the Country Financial Studio, it's Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Hey, it's always fun when we get to talk about a season that's kicking off. It's one of the, I think, the most fun things every August is when Oregon soccer starts out the athletic season. So last time we talked to head coach Graeme Abel, you were on the debut show, so it's been a week.
Yeah.
How's the team looking now so far?
Good. We've managed to, kept everyone fairly healthy with regards to training. We'll get into our biggest load tonight. We'll open it up and get to 11v11, probably 3 12-minute kind of periods that we'll play, and we'll open it up. So it should be a high energy night under the lights. So looking forward to it.
How do you manage picking those practice times? I mean, you like to practice in the morning, some in the afternoon, some in the evening. How do you decide that as a coach?
Work with the sports science guys as always. I mean, I keep saying that, but we work with those guys, trying to stay out of the heat as much as we can. Every now and again we'll tax them when it's a little bit warmer, just to make sure we're preparing for the season. We look at the sleep schedule, how we can maximize sleep for recovery, how we can make sure that we're putting them in the right time so they can eat their meals to help with the recovery piece. And everything's about keeping as many of our student athletes on the field as possible while maximizing performance.
We talked a lot last year about how you had just a very fit group on the field.
Yeah.
Now that you've had a week or so to get to know them again, you feel like you have that same fitness level?
Yeah, there was an expectation. I think when we left, they knew that if we were going to play a certain way and we were going to go toe-to-toe with our opponents, then there was a certain standard there. So they knew that if they didn't come in at a certain point physically, then they were going to struggle. So, and we'll continue to gather pace here over the next week or so, and then even into our first few games.
How do you like to ramp up for your first competition? You know, you're playing Corban 7 o'clock at Pape Field in an exhibition on Friday. That kicks off the season, as we've been talking about. How do you try to build toward that? What's your strategy as a coach?
At the start of preseason, we map everything out. We map what the goals are for preseason, what the goals are day to day, what we want to get through, what our kind of wish list of things are. You know, the primary things, the secondary pieces, how we can piece those in. So we're just chipping away through that wish list right now of, you know, starting to put some of the relationships in place and that are starting to form within the group. And you know, we'll try and look at 2 different groups on Friday night, and as we build through the Corban game and then look towards the Fresno game.
How valuable is it to have an exhibition like you have on your schedule, just to have some film that isn't just you playing against yourselves?
Yeah, it's good. It's you know, like you said, it's at some point in preseason, it's, you know, it's like a boxer, right? You get tired of sparring against, you know, you want to get out against someone, a live opponent. So it's valuable for us just to get the kids to shake their legs off, get after it and stuff. A straight 45 minutes against an opponent who doesn't, you know, it's tough when we play against one another. We have an idea what we're trying to do on the attacking side of the ball. The attacking team have an idea what the defending team's trying to do. So at times we can cancel each other out that way. So getting to go against an opponent that, you know, isn't quite sure what we're going to do allows us, you know, those ideas to develop a little bit more.
Then I imagine the film study is really valuable, right? Is that, you know, is the first game the most important one to study the film on?
You know, we use every single practice, every single game. You know, we can find really good teaching moments for everybody within practices, within games, and so we try to find, you know, as much as we can from the video process to allow us, like I said, to find really positive moments as well, to highlight, hey, this is great, let's continue to do that, and then, hey, let's make that little tweak there, and that's how we be successful.
So as an exhibition game like this, I mean, is it more valuable in your breakdown of of who your starting lineup's going to be and who you're going to use in certain ways? Is it more valuable than a practice, or is it kind of just like this is another practice?
A little bit more just like another practice. You know, we'll look to do a few different things within the game. We'll look at some of our game management tactics and strategies. You know, we'll look at a few different shapes. Are we going to press a team? Are we going to drop off of a team? So we'll look at multiple things to get multiple pictures, again, that allow us to teach later down the line.
So you got some freshmen that have come in. Now, we talked about the recruiting class in the spring, really. And
yeah.
So how have they acclimated to it? Tell us a little bit about that group and them getting comfortable.
They've been great. They've been great. You know, we did kind of, in the build-up to them getting on campus, we did a few little webinars, Zoom presentations to get them up to speed with some of the language and some of the ways that we do things. And so they've adjusted great. You know, they came from really competitive environments. You know, Kess was training with Northern Ireland prior to coming in here. She obviously came from a strong program at UConn, and Anna was playing with Manchester City, so she was playing with their U23s, and she'd been in with the national team. Then the others had come from really competitive club environments as well. So they were all in good environments, and they're making that adjustment really nicely.
Tell us a little bit about what the team's looking like. I mean, what's the competition been like in practice? So break down the roster a bit for us.
It's been great. I mean, the 2 goalkeepers have been fantastic. Between Leah and Maddie, you know, they're both bouncing off one another really well. Back line, we're starting to get a bit of cohesion there with regards to those guys. And, you know, as we look at some of the defending side of the ball, the attacking side of the ball, we have a really good group of midfielders that have done well and coming in good shape. Maya Hahn's come back in a really good place. She went to Germany in the fall to go play in Germany, trying to prepare for the World Cup that didn't happen. She's been able to kind of find her feet again now, and so she's back to kind of where we want her to be and making that progress. And then, you know, we probably have, you know, as we're looking at it right now, 2 lines in the front line that could play for us right away. And so it's really exciting to see us get that depth now. At times last season we didn't quite have that depth, and we saw that the later on we went into the season. But trying to find, you know, minutes for players, that's going to be our challenge, and they're making it difficult for us, which is great.
That's a good thing, right?
It's
that's what you want.
It's a great thing, yeah.
So are you a coach that's like, you know, in a perfect world you're gonna have your lineup and you're gonna stick with it the entire season, or are you okay to kind of shift things up as a season develops? How do you want to handle that?
I think as long as everybody understands the roles and responsibilities, and that's what we're trying to do right now, is imprint those roles and responsibilities and get everyone on the same page from the understanding piece with regards to that. And then, you know, as we go through a season, you know, people are going to need minutes back. We're going to have to buy minutes back for people. We see student athletes drop out of form. We see some hit form, and so everybody's got value. Everybody's got a place in our roster, and everyone's got a big part to play in the season. So everybody's got to be ready.
Graeme Abel, head soccer coach here at Oregon, getting ready for Corban coming up 7 o'clock at Pape Field on Friday. You know, one that I got a question from a fan after we talked last week just about the health of your roster. I mean, how healthy is the roster right now?
We're in pretty good shape. I mean, Callan Harrington, we didn't see play last in the spring. She's close. Maddie Gravanti's close. And after that, you know, once those two are back, we're pretty much back to full strength. So those two are really close. Callan's probably 2 weeks away, maybe a little less. Maddie's, should be 2-3 weeks away. So.
Well, we had the pleasure of talking to Callan on the show. Maybe some of you saw it last year. True ball of energy. I can only imagine what this process.
She's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, well, not to mention, like the leading goal scorer in Oregon high school history. But no pressure, Callan. I mean, but it had to be a difficult process for her, right? Being injured and having to deal with that, that's tough, right?
Yeah, we tried to support her every way that we could. In terms of making sure she was still in and around the group, and but she's close, and so like you said, she's got a really good character about her, huge ball of energy, great personality, and with a name like Harrington, then you're going to do okay at Oregon. So
no pressure, right? Just a Joey Heisman picture right up here above Coach Abel. I like that. Yeah, I like that. So, think she's ever heard that one before?
I don't know. I actually when she first came on the radar, I had to check that she wasn't related. I made a few phone calls just to be like, okay. So
distant cousin, something.
You
never know.
Like that, yeah. So.
You never know. What do you know about Corban right now, and maybe how does that impact what your squad's going to do? Is this really just like it's all about you guys in the first one?
Yeah, for sure. We try to we'll do a little bit of digging like we do in a lot of opponents to find out basic shapes and things like that. What are we potentially going to see? You never know when you come up against different opponents what they're going to change. But with any of our games, it's about us. It's about what we do. It's about imprinting ourselves upon the opponent. It's about playing on the front foot. We don't defend. We go get the ball back. That's the mentality. So we'll continue to do that, and we want to again imprint ourselves and take another step forward as a group.
We've been talking a little bit about how this season is so different because last year was epically different.
Yeah.
Didn't get to know the team as well. Every team was that way, right? You're not having meals together. Travel looks so different. Just before I get to the second part of this, just how different has it been that you can actually get to know the team?
It's awesome. I mean, even from the opening meal that we had, we're able to sit down and we're able to eat with them, we're able to talk to them. We have breakfast over at Pape every morning, sit down, have a coffee with just random student athletes, from our team. So we've been able to start doing a little bit of the team building piece that, is not forced, but we're able to set environments so where it happens organically. Took them out to Loon Lake, which was incredible to take them out to the lake out there, and we took them out for you got the video going on here, but yeah, we took them out for the day out there after practice, and just rented some boats, rented some jet skis, pulled the tube along, grilled out the.
Did you cook?
I cooked.
Boy.
Well, we did. Won't name any names, but someone left the burgers in the freezer too long, so we had to let them defrost a little bit. So I was a little bit nervous there. I drove the boat, which was good. So with the assistance of Ali Cook. So no, it was fun. It was fun just to relax, get away from soccer, let them hang out with one another, and again starting to build those relationships that I know that they miss doing in the spring.
Yeah, I mean, just how valuable is something like that?
It's incredible. I mean, a huge thank you to Lisa Peterson and our Women in Flight team in terms of taking care of us with regards to that. But I was saying to the team, we sell the state of Oregon so much when the recruiting process and everything that we have around us in Eugene and outside of Eugene, it would be a bit, I felt we should take advantage of it. And, if we're going to sell it, then, hey, let's go do it. Yeah. And it was awesome to take advantage of a beautiful lake just down the road from here.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool. I'm a big, I'm on the water quite a bit in the summer. I mean, how can you not be around here? It's funny, I've had this discussion. Now I'm curious for your thoughts on this, too, because, I think we talk a lot about how the experience of Oregon is once someone's here, it's very like, whoa. Like, it's always like, get them on campus, and it's a real wow factor. Now that you've experienced some of that too, I mean, just from a coaching perspective, have you felt that too? That like now that you're here and you've seen it, you're like, whoa, man, this is a pretty great place, isn't it?
It's awesome. It's awesome. I think everyone, again, from the outside when I first came in, we knew about Oregon, we knew about the athletic department, all those pieces. But then once you get here, I mean, I think we've been to the coast with my family. My family have been in town 4 or 5 weeks now. I've been to the coast 3 times already, taking the team out, out to the lake. Took the kids and took my family out to the lake. I mean, the hiking, the jogging around town, all the different trails and things like that, and can't wait for the winter when we can get them up into the snow, and so to be able to have all those different things so close to us is huge, and I encourage our kids to go do it. I mean, they've got to have the complete student athlete experience.
So lastly, one who had the most fun on the water, two who had the least fun on the water.
Oh, who had the most fun? I don't know. Thomas was pretty excited about driving a jet ski. Yeah. That was pretty good. Maya Hahn did numerous backflips.
Sure.
That was good. Ali Cook did a few backflips as well. We had a sunbathing group that stayed on the beach. That's okay. And then we had it was just fun for all of us to be out there and finish with some s'mores and stuff like that. So it's just a blast, and we're going to do a few more things here in pre-season. We'll obviously get to travel and do some things when we're on the road. So it's just great.
I asked that question about who had the least fun, by the way, everybody, tongue-in-cheek, because usually someone gets pushed in the water or something. That happens every time.
We don't do any of that stuff around here.
None of that. Hey, hard-hitting question for you to wrap it up. This has been an ongoing debate in my marriage for about a decade now.
Is this one going to get me in trouble?
No.
Wife watching right now.
I hope not. So what was the ratio? To me, there's 2 ways to make a marshmallow for a s'more.
Ooh.
You either just light it on fire and you're eating charcoal, or you go low and slow, get a nice toasty brown. What was the distribution amongst those 2 on your squad?
Well, number one, we had to do it a little different because we thought our gas canister was going to fit the fire pit, and it didn't, so we had to do it over the grill. So there was definitely there was no low and slow, there was more a burnt or barely warm.
Oh, sure.
So we got the taste, didn't quite get the experience with regards to it. So, but for me personally, low and slow. I don't like the crispy, don't like the burnt and crispy. No.
Yes.
You've got to experience the marshmallow.
My wife eats it as charcoal. Look, I swear, it's just burned up, it's black.
Can't do that. Might as well pick a piece of charcoal.
That's what I always said.
Throw it on.
See, we're on the same page.
Now, we did do it once. I went to England one time, and they did it on a digestive biscuit with Cadbury chocolate and a marshmallow. Now that was another experience, because Cadbury chocolate, that's the stuff.
That's the next level.
That's the next level.
I'm familiar. He's a Reese's guy. Yeah.
Ooh, I don't know.
Phillips is a Reese's guy.
Yeah.
There's actually probably less sugar in that than there is in like a full-on chocolate bar.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the peanut butter stuff. So.
Really?
No, my wife is. I just can't do it.
Wow, you learn something new every day. Graeme Abel, Oregon soccer head coach. Best of luck against Corban as the season kicks off Friday, 7 o'clock, Pape Field. Come on out, support this team. It's going to be a lot of fun. And we'll talk to you again next week, huh?
Appreciate it. Thank you as always.
All right, we'll break it all down coming up next because we got a few other things to get to, including your product schedule for the week. There's quite a bit going on, actually, on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Hi, welcome to the Spicy Drive-In. May I take your order?
Can I get the spicy chicken sandwich, please?
The spicy chicken is an excellent choice, sir. And to drink?
Whatever's fine.
Oh, may I make a beverage pairing recommendation this evening?
Sure.
If we are feeling especially bold tonight, sir, I would recommend the Mountain Dew with that. It's bravely unrestrained with a very alive aroma that pairs wonderfully with your spicy chicken. It's followed by a hint of zesty citrus flavor.
Yeah, that sounds amazing.
I'm sure you already know this, sir, but remember to appreciate the nose first by giving the Mountain Dew a little swirl to relieve volatilize it.
What?
To change the flavor compounds and activate your taste buds to get them fully primed for that chicken sandwich.
It's delicious.
Now you're getting the hang of it. The muscular flavor charge characteristics of Mountain Dew make for an absolutely epic mouthfeel when paired with spicy cuisine. It is quite on point, sir.
Dude, it's a perfect match. Like they were made for each other.
So true, so true.
When you want to make good food bolder and bold food better, do the do.
More Duck Insider coming up on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Jill, why don't you tell the class what you did this weekend?
Well, my dad and I went in search of some magical minnows and found a zillion of them in the stream from our lookout rock. Then my sister and I escaped from an evil slug king and went back to my super twig fort for safety. Then we told stories till it got dark, and the Big Dipper led us all the way home.
Where were you, Jill?
We went to the forest. It's not that far away.
Ask your parents to take you and your friends to the forest this week. It's closer than you think. Check out discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
If a natural disaster comes knocking, how prepared is your family? You can't just close the door on earthquakes, floods, or hurricanes and hope they go away. That's why it's important to make a plan now. Ready.gov/plan has the tools and tips you need to prepare your family for an emergency. So if disaster shows up at your doorstep, you'll be ready. Visit ready.gov/plan and make a plan today. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
All right, I'm telling you, you gotta have this conversation. If you haven't, you need to figure out if you're a burned marshmallow person or a good, wonderful, just toasted marshmallow person. Now, I will say, it's a real thing. Many of you have probably heard this story, but from like broadcaster lore, Jim Nantz famously travels around with a picture of burned toast in his wallet. So when he asks for burned toast at a restaurant or at a hotel or whatever, he'd be like, no, I literally want it like this, like burned toast. Now, I guess some people, they like that. I am not one of those people. Not one of those people. Oregon soccer against Corban coming up Friday, 7 o'clock. It's going to be fun, man, to just kick off another season. I want to run through the schedule for you a little bit, too, because the Products Guide, Rob does such a great job putting this together every Monday. You know, it's how he spends, I think, his Sunday, Monday, just getting things up and, you know, up on the website, one, but then, two, keeping track of everything is really, really cool. And I really appreciate Rob doing that because, you know, I started to notice it, well, really since he's been doing it. And I was like, man, this is just so nice to be able to look and be like, okay, that's when someone's playing. So we talked a little bit about the NBA Summer League. Guys, the NFL preseason is coming up now as well. Guys like Tyrell Crosby and Penei Sewell are going to be playing on Friday on NFL Network at 4 o'clock. Austin Faliu and Evan Bayless are going to be playing against each other at 7 o'clock on Friday, and a whole lot more, like Javon Holland and the Miami Dolphins. Thomas Graham Jr. and the Chicago Bears, they'll be playing against each other. Royce Freeman, Troy Dye, and Jordan Scott are going to be playing against each other. Troy Hill is going to be in action. DeForest Buckner is going to be in action. It's pretty sweet just to be able to talk about all these guys that are now in the NFL. Absolutely awesome. Well, that does it for us today. Tomorrow, Coach Cristobal will meet with the media. Ducks have been in shells now for one practice. We also have Lisa Peterson and Matt Ulmer joining the show tomorrow. We'll see you then.
Hey, son, how are you feeling?
I'm fine, Pops.
What's on your mind?
I can't explain it. Navigating without a compass, eyes waiting, started to wonder. Metamorphosis, the loss of who you thought you was.
When your kid can't find the language, help them find the lyrics. Listen to the Sound It Out album and get tips and tools to start a conversation at sounditout.together.org.